Hey guys, how's it going? I haven't made a video in a really long time, so I hope you like this one. There was a request from one of my followers to do a video about work in Asperger's, and I thought about it, and I figured, what the heck, let me share what I know. The reality is that I am in no situation to give advice to everybody on the spectrum. I'm not a professional, and I can only share about my own experience. So I'll do that, and hopefully it will be helpful. This isn't scripted, so I'm just going to try and just give you thoughts off the cuff. Hopefully you'll like it. So let's see, work. Um, I have always been a really hardworking person. In school, when I was younger, I studied really hard and tried really hard and was, a good student. So I feel like that's super ingrained in me. I think because of the way my mind worked, there were things I would love to just like get myself absorbed in. Like chess was one thing. When I wanted to learn something, it would be like I would just dive in, or even like a physical thing. When I played tennis, I would spend hours against the gymnasium wall hitting the tennis ball. So, you know, um, that continued into my adult life. Um, my brain has certain areas of extreme strength. So, I'm lucky that I have that advantage, because some people on the spectrum, they, they don't have a particular extreme skill. Some people do, or they have like a really strong special interest or a certain skill, like maybe it could be computers or geography or something like that. But others don't. So I feel fortunate that I do, and that's really helped me to have a career and be able to support myself and stuff like that. My strengths are really in the area of analysis. I'm very good at that because I'm really strong with patterns, numbers, but also it's more than numbers. It's not like I would not do well with accounting. Like that, I did really poorly in accounting in college, but more with patterns. And luckily, I found my way into a career that involves analyzing numbers. And but I'm not just like a kind of a number geek. I like to tell a story. So I'm very creative as well and artistic. And so I will analyze it, but then really portray the story in a way that's meaningful and visually appealing. That some of the challenges that I've had with work are overworking or not being productive because I'm so perfectionistic about it, and I end up spending a lot of time on maybe something that doesn't matter, or I get like so sucked into it, um, and I end up really kind of harming myself physically from the stress and the overwork. That's certainly been a problem, and I've made massive improvements over the last like 6 years or so, 6, 7 years. Really getting help from other people. I needed to take some time and learn how to just manage a day, manage a week, manage the workloads. I'm very visual, so I don't think I have it out here, but I have to lay everything out on my calendar, and it's like all different color codes, social work, and then projects. It's like, okay, something's coming in this day, and then different color if it's when it's due, and I have to really lay it out, highlight it, because I will tend to not think realistically, and end up with too much to do or overlapping. So I have to really lay it out, and also I have to overestimate how much time things are going to take. So I leave a lot more room now because things come up. You just have to leave that extra space. And I also have just had to really work on not getting so perfectionistic about things, like really trying to focus on like just what actually needs to get done and what can I let go of. And so one of the things I do with my work is I think, okay, can this have like maybe 2 to 3 like really nice, cool, great things that they can take away, and then that's enough. Like, I don't have to make it the Pulitzer Prize of work, you know? It's just for my own well-being. I have to limit that. So learning how to make good enough be okay. And because it's like it'll make ourselves crazy, and so many of us have health issues, and it can really be taxing on the health. What else? I would struggle with just sometimes just getting started or stopping if I got into something. So getting help with getting started, some of the things I do would be, pressure doesn't really help, so I'll just tell myself, okay, I'm just going to pull out the folder. Or I'm going to pull out the folder, I'm just going to look at the papers, but I will not read the papers. Or I will spend 5 minutes looking at the papers, and that's all I'm committing to. Because there's just something about getting over that hurdle of starting, because I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling afraid, and maybe I've, been in something else. I guess maybe it's an autistic thing of just being in the groove of one thing and then trying to switch to something else can be difficult. So not pressuring myself really helps. I guess in terms of more the relational aspect, that's something, I'm older. I've had to learn that over years and years and years. Like, yeah, over, 20-something years of struggle. I had to learn a lot of things. My bosses have pretty much always liked my work, and I think they've pretty much liked me, but, early on, some of the criticisms were about being overly aggressive. And this was by a female boss, so I don't believe it was like sexism or anything. And assertive, and I know that, I would see a better way to do something, and I would just, of course, want to tell them, And I think I could be kind of too direct, too blunt, and step on toes, really. I personally think there should be more room for that personality type, and it be celebrated, but there is a reality, and if I hadn't learned to adapt to things, I wouldn't have made it as far as I did. So I had to use my intellect a lot and analyze and get into certain habits in terms of how I interacted with people. Learn softening language. Things like, even if I know something is right or the best way to do it, like I know, I could just say, hey, well, here's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I would go in this direction. Like learn how to soften the language. Trying to think of some other examples of softening language. I guess if somebody, maybe if you're discussing an idea with somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, that's just a terrible idea. You could say, how would I say that? I'd probably say, yeah, that's, we could definitely think about that. What about this? I might try this direction. And, because I've seen in past experience. I think that's one thing too. Like, when I know something, I just know it. It's not like my brain goes, oh, because of this, and this, you do this. It's like osmosis. I just know it. But people want you to go through the intellectual steps with them. So, and I have to be honest, I'm going to admit something here. That when I just kind of know what I'm supposed to do or how something's supposed to be done, I have to kind of backtrack and come up with some reasons why. To be honest, they may not always be the actual reasons why, but I need to sell the idea. I have to kind of creatively come up with some reason that seems acceptable to them. And a lot of times it is a reason, but I don't have to inundate them with information, So that's something I've really had to work on. One of my bosses told me that when I gave a recommendation, I need to explain why. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, really? It's like, I just know it. You have to just trust me. And what's been really kind of a challenge too is there's so many times when I just know something And I know, without a doubt, this is the way to go. And then, like, the people I'm working for will say, no, that they want to do it some other way. I cooperate, and it's painful, but that's how you have to get along, you know? So a lot of times it'll come back and I was right. I was 100% right. I have to really learn how to, I guess, not be so rigid and let people make mistakes. You know, if I'm not in charge of something, sometimes I have to do what they say, but it doesn't mean I can't give my suggestions or points of view. But it just comes a point where I have to, you know, agree. And ideally, you know, I want to work with people that want my ideas and want what I have to share and all that. And I have had that sometimes, but I don't always, you know. And I think that's something we have to learn. And I also have to be open to the idea, possibility that maybe I'm not always right. You know, maybe they are right. And also, you know what? It's not that important. I mean, I suppose if you're like a heart surgeon or something, yeah, it's pretty important, you know, but probably most jobs, it's not that important. It really isn't, and it feels like it is. And for my health and sanity, and to have good relations with people, that's what's more important, that people like you. You know, one of my first bosses who I really loved, who actually was the one who said I was like kind of aggressive, she was pretty awesome in a lot of ways. And she said to me, because it was the situation where, yeah, she was my boss, but we had clients. And she said, you know, your clients are not really your client. Your boss is your client. And you need to make your boss happy. And I went, oh my God, that's so good, because that's not how I had thought about it. Ultimately, whoever is responsible for your career and your check, they're the ones you need to make happy. I like what Temple Grandin says about don't try and sell yourself, sell your work. I'm really terrible at selling myself. I am. Like, if people don't know me, I almost never get work from them. But if they've heard of me and seen my work, they really like me, they come back, they recommend me. It's like, yeah, demonstrate who I am and what I'm about, but don't try and tell people. So, yeah, I don't do well on job interviews, I don't think. I mean, sometimes I have, but it's not my strong suit, and I don't feel like comfortable extolling my strengths. Like, I feel, oh, here we go, the Aspie kind of character flaw of too much honesty. So in an interview, I will find it really difficult to say how great I am. I will feel like I have to tell them and be honest, like, well, I'm really not that good at this thing, or and things I probably am actually good at it, but I'm really hard on myself. And it's nearly impossible for me to just zip the lip, just shut up, just say, you know, I've done this, and I'm good at this, and period. Don't keep talking. And it's funny, because I actually sometimes have to practice this in my head, where I'll be like, especially if I'm in a difficult conversation, I will say, you know, sentence, sentence, and then I'll go in my head, I'll say, period, which means shut the heck up, because there are times I just go on and on and on. And I've done it recently, like, and just so you know, like, I seriously, sometimes I just am like cringing at myself. Like, Sue, oh my God, you need to shut the mouth. Like, stop talking. So I could suggest, you know, like having some cue for yourself. Whether it's a physical thing like a rock, or something you can look at, like maybe whatever your particular strength is that just reminds you. I mean, this is all a lot of work. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it's extremely difficult, because I have learned what people like and what they don't like, for the most part. And it's exhausting. It really is. And the whole other thing about changes in schedules and scope and different directions and delays. Oh my Lord. Don't do well with that. I don't. I don't like it. At all. It really, really messes me up. So, what do I do about it? I guess I try and talk myself through it and say, well, it's okay. It's okay. Like, literally calm myself down. If it comes in late, but there's still time, and like it doesn't really impact my ability to do the job, it's okay. If I feel like it's impacting my ability to do my job, then I get more upset. And I don't know. Let's just say I've had to work on trying to like relax more. And if I keep my schedule loose enough, then hopefully I can still do what I need to do. Or, something I've done is like negotiate. So if I get something late that I'm then supposed to do work with and they have a deadline, if it's a kind of like a huge delay in time, I can say, well, with the time that I have, I could either do this or this. Which would you prefer? So kind of give them options and negotiate. I've had to learn how to have good boundaries, stand up for myself, but at the same time to also like learn how to be loose. So it's like kind of like being in the gray zone, like not be so rigid, but not be a doormat either, and try and kind of somewhere live in this zone. And these are, not just Aspie things, but I mean human things probably, really. But I do think as an Aspie, like when it comes to schedule changes and all that kind of stuff, it's like we got to really work on that. I do deal with like a lot of health issues, and working for yourself is a really good option if you have that, because you can manage your schedule better and work when it is more comfortable. Like if you say you need to sleep in a little bit one morning or lay down and take naps or something, I think a lot of Aspies do well in sort of a self-employment situation where they have that flexibility, they have that autonomy. That works well for me. And on the topic of oversharing, there are a couple words and phrases that are really helpful. Like, I'm not available at that time. I don't need to tell them I have a doctor's appointment or I had insomnia last night and I'm sorry I can't get up before, I can't talk to you before 9, or, they don't have to know all the crap that I'm dealing with. It's okay to just say, I'm not, I'm not available until 10. Or it's okay to say, I've got another commitment at this time, or I have a meeting, I have a phone call, I'll call you at this time. That's quite all right. On the other hand, I think if you do start to gain a rapport with somebody, because there are people that I have known for years, and, they are friendlier, that, sometimes I can share more, and I don't have like a rule for you about how or when to do that, but I guess maybe matching their level of relationship with you, because you might know someone for 20 years, but they always have a very kind of professional, distanced relationship, or they might start to just chit-chat with you more. Like I've noticed with certain clients over the years, if I would talk to them, maybe I hadn't talked to them for 6 months or a year, and like the first few minutes is just social chit-chat. Hey, what have you been up to? And again, I don't need to tell them like problems. Oh, yep, work's been really busy, but it's been good. I've been doing a lot of different things, and oh, definitely, yeah, I've been having a good summer. Have you been taking advantage of the good weather? Like weather, summer, got any good vacation plans? Those are good, just little icebreakers. Again, if that person seems sort of open, maybe that's a good way to think about it. Like, just kind of take their lead. And oh, and then one other tip I would say is I'm very much like, especially when I'm in a need to get a project done mode, I'm like, okay, if I want to email someone, I'm like, hey, can you do this? Change this. Da 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 da. It's like boom, boom, boom. Very like just to the point, you know. And I notice more. I'm like, oh, add it. Hi, how's it been going? And if it's a Monday, oh, I hope you had a nice weekend. You know, or just something. If I hadn't talked to him for a while, hey, I hope work is going well for you. I haven't talked to you in a while. I just want to touch base with you. Like add extra words, softening words, versus do you have any work for me? When am I going to get this? Can you fix this? Hey, I'm wondering when would you have a chance today to fix this for me? Kindness, softness. Thank you. Thanks. Oh, thanks again for turning this around. Yeah, show appreciation and patience. I guess that's what I got for now. It's a long video. So if I think of anything else, I'll do another video. And if you have any questions, let me know.